Meet the famous first impressions of sport. When simply showing up isn't good enough, a famous first impression is what's left at the end of a great debut. Cemented into the minds of fans and foes alike and engraved into the almanacs of world sport. But while it is every professional athlete's dream to enter the sporting arena like a boss, some famously falter with time. Once that first impression is made, there's no hiding from the truth. History has often taught us that a first impression can be the polar opposite of the final impression. There are good first impressions turned horribly wrong, like that of former US President Richard Nixon, who went from earning rave reviews for withdrawing US troops from the war in Vietnam to being disgraced thanks to the Watergate fiasco.
Therefore, I shall resign the presidency effective at noon tomorrow.
And there are bad first impressions turned fabulously good. Like the case of Walter Elias Walt Disney, who was fired by his local newspaper in Kansas City for a lack of imagination, only to become a world-renowned animator with theme parks built in his name. The greatest first impression ever witnessed in the National Hockey League took place in October 2016, courtesy of American Auston Matthews. The 2016 first overall draft pick scored a record 4 goals in his first game, the most ever by a rookie. Despite the heroics, his Toronto Maple Leafs still lost 5-4. Interestingly enough, Matthews' arrival to the league came via a detour never before taken by a player so young and highly touted. Switzerland's National League A, and more specifically, the ZSC Lions of Zurich.
I just thought it was a really good opportunity for me and my development to play here in the Swiss League, which is a very good league, and be coached by a great coach who's coached in the NHL and won a Stanley Cup and coached some pretty special players.
That coach is Mark Crawford.
He shows you something different every game, whether it's his power moves to the net, his speed through the neutral zone, his ability to adjust to defensive tactics, and actually his awareness in the defensive zone.
Matthews may have gone scoreless in his second pro game, but the big-bodied boy from Arizona has all the tools to impress for years to come. Coming up, fabulous and not so fabulous football debuts. It seems no sporting team can conjure up feelings of immense pride more so than a national football team. The pinnacle of international team sports, caps are accumulated as badges of patriotic honor in conjunction with a player's domestic displays. But that first cap, man, you never forget your first cap. Such was the case for 2 legends of the game with extremely different debuts. Our first legend is Lionel Messi. Yes, the tiny titan of modern football, who has gone from the clean-cut kid, born and raised in Rosario, Argentina, to the scruffy superstar, annihilating opposition defenses at Camp Nou and beyond with his beloved FC Barcelona. Messi's relationship with international football has been somewhat torturous. For one, little Lionel had the opportunity to get his Spanish citizenship, play for the most successful football nation of the 21st century, and potentially win a World Cup. And when he has played for the Albi Celeste, he's come agonizingly close to winning the big prize, but ultimately finished second best. A couple of failed Copa America finals, and for about 6 weeks, Messi bailed on the team altogether.
I thought about it in the dressing room, and I've decided that I'm done with the national team. As I said, it has been 4 finals losses, and this just isn't for me.
Incidentally, Messi's Argentina debut was just as painful. Having come on in the 63rd minute in a friendly against Hungary in 2005, he was sent off just 44 seconds later for allegedly elbowing an opponent. Had he opted for Spain all along, who knows if his debut would have been different. Our second legend had a different start to his international career, France's Zinedine Zidane. After making the seemingly obvious decision of declining an invite to join the Algerian national side, the silky smooth former attacking midfielder turned stone-faced football manager had himself a brilliant debut with Le Bleu. The then 22-year-old came on as a sub in a friendly against the Czech Republic in August of 1994 and erased his side's 2-goal deficit, scoring twice. Incidentally, his final game would be one to forget. Although, let's be honest, how could you forget it? After he headbutted Marco Materazzi in the 2006 World Cup final and was subsequently sent off. Out of all the footballers who made it to the pros, there is one man who seems to have mastered the first impression. English striker Jimmy Greaves scored on his professional debut with Chelsea as a 17-year-old in 1957, before doing the same with the England national team 2 years later. Greavesy celebrated his first England cap with a goal, even if it came in a 4-1 loss to Peru. He would then move to Italy, playing a season with AC Milan, and, surprise, scoring on his debut, before moving back to the motherland, grabbing a hat-trick in his first start for Tottenham in 1961. After 9 seasons, he gave West Ham United a go, and hit things off with a 2-goal debut performance. The prolific goalscorer ended his club career with 422 goals in 602 appearances, while ending his international career with 44 goals in 57 appearances for the Three Lions. And if the Essex native was the king of entrances, one club he didn't play for has always lent itself to a curious case of freakish first games. Founded as Newton Heath in 1878 before changing to Manchester United in 1902, Red Devil fans have been witness to some spectacular first impressions. Wayne Rooney was no stranger to the pace of the Premier League, having made his pro debut with Everton in 2002. But his Red Devil first impression was a memorable one, having hit home a hat-trick in their 6-2 Champions League trouncing of Fenerbahce. Rooney since went on to become the club's captain and holds the record for most goals for one club in the Premier League. His debut exploits carried over onto the England national team, where he surpassed Bobby Charlton's record of 49 international goals. And then there was Marcus Rashford, who followed his dominant 2015 debut brace in European competition with another 2-goal display, this time in his Premier League debut against Arsenal just 3 days later. 1 month later, he'd score in his Manchester derby debut, instantly catapulting him to superstar status.
You see some of the younger players nowadays in football, you know, they haven't really got that attitude, and it's great to see, and he's getting the rewards for it because he's some talent, and you know, if he keeps going, he'll be a real star for this club and for England.
His exploits earned him his first international cap in 2016, and he left another lasting first impression, scoring just 138 seconds into England's friendly against Australia.
it's a bold move in some ways to give an 18-year-old his debut after such a short period of time in the Man United team, but what a debut, what a great goal.
His was a second first impression, if you will, and a much more expensive one at that.
I'm back.
Paul Pogba went Pogback to Manchester United after leaving the team where his professional career got started in a contentious manner for Italian powerhouse Juventus, who signed him on a free transfer. But the United bond was never really broken, and he was brought back in the summer of 2016 at a world record-breaking price of 105 million euros.
I'm back home and I just told you, yeah, it's something crazy. It's really crazy. I cannot explain. Very, very happy. The feeling I have in my body is like I can't wait to start.
Pogba's second first impression off the pitch was definitely a slick one, having arrived in the country on a private jet, then raced his way to United headquarters in a slick Camaro. With such a powerful and somewhat pretentious homecoming, all that was left for the world's most expensive player was to make an explosive second first impression on the pitch.
I want to do great. I want to be one of the best. I want to win titles. I want to achieve things. And that's all. That's why I came here, just to do this, to become one of the best, and to win titles, because I know this club has to win titles.
Pogba's part two was a statistically strong display, leading his team with 103 touches of the ball while completing 57 passes. He also recorded 5 interceptions and 4 shots in United's 2-0 win over Southampton. But the pressure that comes with such a massive price tag means people expect perfection with nearly every touch of the ball. This is clearly impossible, but the media is unforgiving. And so suddenly, with each mistake, Pogba became less of a reality and more of an expensive project. However, Manchester United manager Jose Mourinho has all the time in the world for the Frenchman, especially after his brace in their October 2016 Europa League tie against Fenerbahce.
In some of your mouth, he goes from the worst player in the Premier League to a great player in 48 hours. But the reality is that we know that he's a very good player, and we know that he needs some time to be or to show all his potential.
After the break, famous first looks of the NBA. Cleveland, Ohio has always been considered the city of firsts. It's the home of the world's first automatic piloted airplane and America's first national air race.
I'll be with you later.
It's the birthplace of Toni Morrison, the first black woman to win the Nobel Peace Prize for Literature. And Halle Berry, the first black woman to win an Academy Award.
I hope this means that they won't not see our color. I think that's what makes us so unique and everybody so unique. I just hope we now maybe will start to be judged on our merit of our work and not our skin.
In 2016, Cleveland was able to celebrate another first, that of becoming an NBA championship city. The city's prodigal son, LeBron James, became the first player in the history of the league to lead both finals teams in all 5 statistical categories for a playoff round, making his finals MVP selection unanimous.
Joe Vargan, Cleveland.com. LeBron, can you even fathom what that parade's going to be like on Wednesday?
Oh, my goodness. It's going to be probably one of the biggest parties. No, I'm sorry, one up. It's going to be the biggest party that Cleveland has ever seen.
Perhaps the biggest NBA party ever seen took place on the streets of the rock and roll capital of the world before LeBron took the Larry O'Brien Trophy to his hometown of Akron, Ohio, in what was another first.
I promise, when I came back 2 years ago, that I had one mission from a basketball standpoint. I had one mission, and my one mission was to bring a championship back to Ohio, back to Cleveland, and back to Akron. And look up there, it's right
there. LeBron had come good on his goal to bring the title to Ohio after jumping ship for the warmer pastures of Miami in 2010, before returning to the colder fold in 2014, in a city that once upon a time saw him play his first NBA game in a more than memorable debut. The Cleveland Cavaliers finished the 2002-03 NBA season last in the Eastern Conference with a 17-65 record, tied for worst in the league. So the 2003-04 season couldn't come any sooner. The silver lining from the embarrassment was that they were able to draft hometown hero and the nation's best high school baller, LeBron James, with the first overall pick from St. Vincent St. Mary High School, a place he still misses to this day.
Of course, you know, the fans that you have, and the student section that you have, the bands, you have all that kind of stuff in high school, and the rival games, and, you know, sitting in the classroom every day, and you can't wait till that 7:30 tip-off of a high school varsity basketball game. Absolutely, you miss those days.
But his first NBA game proved his high school games would quickly become nothing more than a sweet but distant memory. The then 18-year-old recorded 25 points, 6 rebounds, 9 assists, and 4 steals in a 106-92 loss to the Sacramento Kings. Despite the loss, LeBron was still the talk of the town, with Kings former coach Rick Adelman stating, "He's got a lot of talent. He gets to the basket, he sees the floor. For the first game, you had to be impressed." LeBron's first impression was a good one, but he wasn't the only man to make playing hoops look so easy so quickly. Everybody who knows basketball knows that Wilt Chamberlain was a beast. His 100-point game, his scoring and rebounding titles, and in essence, his absolute dominance on the court. And to think it all began with his pro basketball game #1. The man known as the Stilt scored 43 points and pulled down 28 rebounds in his NBA debut, leading his Philadelphia Warriors to a 118-109 victory against the New York Knicks. Philadelphia got to witness another insane debut game, with Michael Carter-Williams posting a stat line that he may struggle to replicate for the rest of his NBA career. That's because the 2013 number 11 pick scored 22 points, 12 assists, 7 rebounds, and 9 steals, sealing his team's 114-110 win against the defending champion Miami Heat with 2 free throws. The near quadruple double still stands as one of the game's greatest first impressions, in a season where he was named the league's top rookie. And then there was Lamar Odom. Some may remember him as the man who fell head over heels in love with an attractive television personality named Chloe and popped the wedding question in an attempt to keep up with the Kardashian.
Chloe and Lamar got married in 9 days. You know, they told me, and 9 days later, we had a wedding.
Unfortunately for Lamar, there may be others who might remember him as a former basketball star found unconscious outside a Nevada brothel after allegedly downing copious amounts of herbal Viagra and a bottle of cognac.
Mitzi John, an employee of the Love Ranch, and a second caller, Richard Hunter, media director for Dennis Hoff's Bunny Ranch, requested an ambulance for an unresponsive male experiencing a medical emergency at the Love Ranch.
He was later hospitalized after suffering several strokes and kidney failure.
The last thing I want to say is I just wanted to extend love and support to one of our NBA brothers, Lamar Odom.
You know, obviously our heart and our thoughts and our prayers are with with Lamar and his family.
Oftentimes, you know, athletes and entertainers and celebrities are, you know, kind of judged based on choices or decisions, and that's not really representative of who they are.
But hardcore NBA fans might remember the two-time NBA champion as the man who made one of the game's greatest first impressions. The Candyman made his impressive debut for the Los Angeles Clippers against the Seattle Supersonics in 1999, scoring 30 points while adding 12 boards, 3 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks in just 44 minutes. Nowadays, the NBA's first bad boy, Allen Iverson, can be found hitting the odd golf ball, or even catching one, like he did for Yao Ming during the 4th edition of the Mission Hills Celebrity Pro-Am. And although he can't kick a ball, Bobber Chucks could sure bounce and shoot a ball. So well, in fact, that he ended up in the NBA Hall of Fame in 2016.
I'm a product of Michael Jordan, Isaiah Thomas, Magic Johnson, Charles Barkley, Shaquille O'Neal, all of the guys that paved the way for us, man.
They may have been pioneers of the game, but that didn't stop Iverson from pulling off his signature crossover move on his idol, Michael Jordan, in a rookie campaign that featured one heck of a good first impression. The 6-foot-tall guard proved his smaller frame wouldn't be much of an issue in the big man's game, scoring 30 points and dishing out 6 assists. The 76ers may have lost to the Milwaukee Bucks 111-103, but had gained one of the game's most electrifying and polarizing players. Still to come, failed first impressions. The sporting world can be a cruel one. So if you're new to the scene but arrive with the label of world beater, chances are there is no middle ground to find comfort in. You're either a champion or a choker. Take Tiger Woods. The man with the sublime golfing skills, but battered back, arrived on the Pro Tour with incredible fanfare. Courtesy of his stints on the Mike Douglas Show as a toddler, and his father Earl's incessant announcements that his son was the greatest gift to golf. His debut, though, was meh. At the 1996 Greater Milwaukee Open, Woods shot a 67 in the first round, followed by a 69, 73, and 68 in the next 3. The 7-under par 277 was 12 shots off the pace, but enough for 60th at the tournament. Straight out of Stanford University, the $2,500 paycheck was pocket change compared to his $60 million endorsement contracts he signed with Nike and Titleist even before winning his first tournament. Tiger clearly came good on his potential, and the rest is golfing history.
Thank you for being here.
Someone who never lived up to the hype was a man who thought he was so good, he slapped his name next to the sport he played and tried to have it trademarked. Johnny Football, or the man his birth records called Johnny Manziel, was all the rage thanks to his college football exploits, becoming the first freshman to win the Manning Award, Davey O'Brien National Quarterback Award, and the most coveted college football trophy of them all.
The 2012 winner of the Heisman Memorial Trophy is Johnny Manziel.
But his first NFL game with the Cleveland Browns would show him that the pro game was a whole different story. Named starter in their 2014 Week 15 matchup against the Cincinnati Bengals, Manziel completed just 10 of 18 passes for 80 yards and 2 interceptions, as the Browns were shut out 30-0. Marred by a life of off-field excesses, the Browns gave up on Manziel, releasing him in 2016. Just like in the real world, a first impression can prove fundamental for an athlete and lay the foundation for a lifetime of memorable moments or moments to forget. Diving into the deep end, you need to show up for your first game ready to go, shaking off the jitters, ready to learn, but removing any doubt that you don't belong. Because you never get a second chance at a first impression. And that is the truth.